This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hello.
So here we are again, another week, and this time let's talk about the word that as I call it, it's Joshism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the word, Joshism.
Yeah, it is. It's a Joshism. And so my description of that is oftentimes when things are going in a certain direction, it takes effort by sometimes the entire family, sometimes just myself, sometimes just your dad. Mm-hmm. And we put in all-out effort to get you somewhere. And then at the very end, it's that you are available all of a sudden to people outside of us, and it's like a piece of cake for you. Mm-hmm. It's like it's really easy right then. And we're watching and we're going, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like all the, not like we want all this credit or anything. It's what the point is, that it's baffling how
I will help others outside the immediate family, but I won't necessarily help you guys right away.
Well, that has happened, yes, but specifically what I'm talking about is that so let's say we're at A, mm-hmm. In order to get to B, it takes like constant supervision, mm-hmm. and prompting, mm-hmm. and redirecting and hand-holding. And then so to get you to go do something that needs to be done.
Right.
Then when we get there, sometimes there's this like switch, and you present as if everything has been fine all along. And so, for example, if we go to, a situation was where you were having a very, very, very rough time, and you just were not functioning. Mm-hmm. So I made an appointment to take you to the doctor. So when we got to the doctor, I'm expressing what I'm concerned about, and you were you were making jokes. You know, you got praised for making jokes. And then it just turns around to where like I look like a total idiot because I'm saying all this stuff happened, and you're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. That's like a Joshism. Yeah. Yes.
That's one form of a Joshism. Anyway.
One form. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So what is explain what a different form would be?
We're having a serious conversation because I failed to do something, or something rather. Like I got in trouble. Mm-hmm. We're having a serious conversation. We finish the conversation. I leave and I come back 30 seconds later and I'm happy-go-lucky, so to speak. As if it didn't even happen. Right.
And I would say sometimes it's not even the end of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you have to get up and go do something, and you come back and don't necessarily start right off from where we left, because you're like a different person.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm not suggesting that you have multiple personalities. What I am saying is that
I have multiple personalities.
You don't hold on to the emotion that you've just been experiencing.
Right. I think part of it is that my sense of time is skewed.
Well,
at least in regards to things like that.
Okay.
Not the original context of Joshism, mm-hmm. that we stated on here.
Right.
But whenever it comes to things like that, my sense of time is so skewed, it's ridiculous. Like, the things that other people say happen simultaneously, I can point out, this happened first, this happened second, this happened third.
That's true. That's true. And it's I've noticed that part of you that's able to separate different aspects of something that maybe when I look at it, I just lump it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see it as detailed as you do. That it even goes to where if we're going someplace, your description of what you get to, what experience you have when you are almost there, meaning you're going to go over railroad tracks. Maybe that's not a very good example because people might, remember railroad tracks. It's a point of
right,
a landmark.
Right. You could,
but there are things that you point out that I seriously might have gone that direction 100 times, and I just didn't see something that you just went one time and you saw that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing. But so we went in the time thing. Okay, so initially when we were talking about you leaving the room and coming back,
mm-hmm.
Are you making a connection between the fact that when you think of time, it's broken down so precisely to not holding on to an emotion? Do you feel like your emotions are connected to a timetable?
Well, like PMS?
Okay.
No, that was a joke.
Sort of. That was sort of a joke, right?
Yeah, it was half serious, half joking, but yeah.
Okay.
Insofar as like me being happy or upset at a certain time of the day,
mm-hmm.
no, it doesn't work like that. But when I say that my sense of time is skewed,
mm-hmm.
I mean that while things can simultaneously happen for other people, I am able to break it down to what happened first, what happened second, so on and so forth. But if it's something like I could not tell you what day of the week we had taquitos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we had taquitos recently. Or at least it felt recently. But I can't tell you which day it was on. I remember most of the things that happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which day it was.
Right. Right.
So like I can remember details that are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to fit that into the overall picture of things, I think I have difficulty with.
Right.
So,
it's interesting. I think that's interesting for anybody. Let's say RJ, for example, your brother-in-law. You can ask him anything about movies, and he can tell you who was in the movie, what year it came out, who directed it, who produced it, what company it was.
And if he doesn't, he has IMDb right there.
Most of the time, that kind of information he's got it right there.
Yeah.
So that's why. Why does that happen? I mean, he's interested in the creative process,
mm-hmm.
but it's just it's beyond amazing all of the information that he just can spit out about on that particular subject.
Yeah, it's kind of like me watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Just random crap I know.
Well, when you were talking about time, something happens. It's kind of a daily issue and a daily concern that I have, and that is that spend your day, and if I have not been involved, and if I'm not helping you with lists, not much gets done. And sometimes, and I've had to learn this too, I mean, it can easily be mistaken for laziness. And yet when I talk to you about it, you're thoughtful, you're really go ahead.
Expressive. Sometimes
maybe just available. Not always, but available for a conversation. And okay, what just happened? I know that if I go at you and I speak to you in a tone where I've gotten grumpy because my perception is that you've been lazy, that doesn't go well at all.
Right.
But when I stop and when I should be more like you, because when I let go of being, offended by this, and when I just talk to you about it, you're very thoughtful in willing to share what happened. And oftentimes what you do share is that you lose chunks of time without even being aware that you've lost chunks of time. We've tried setting up lists of responsibilities each day. You've set alarms on your phone. We've recommended having a paper calendar to go along with the alarms on the phone. We've talked about, including your calendar on a computer. Everything that would help you to accomplish certain things during the day. And there are some times that you wake up and, your eyes are bright and you're ready to go. And you say to me, "Good morning, how are you?" And I'm like, I know what kind of day that's going to be. And then, it's one where you're very present. So what happens on those days where you're not very present? And what happens when you've gone to a point where you set an alarm on your phone to get something done and it goes off? Do you go to do that responsibility as soon as it goes off, or do you just ignore it?
Sometimes I don't even realize it goes off. Like, I absent-mindedly just turn it off whenever it goes off. Not like turn it off completely, but just where it's not the snooze button, but the other button.
Right. Or it just turns off that alarm.
For that day, yes. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it.
When you have one of those days, excuse me, where there's not been much accomplished, are you aware that not much has been accomplished?
Sometimes it could be a good day, like you said, but my head's in the clouds thinking a whole bunch of things. And other times I could be bogged down and grouchy, and I still do things even though I don't want to. Those are probably the rarest days that occur, because usually if I'm not feeling up to doing things, I'm not up to doing things. Right.
And there's one thing that I've learned from you, that if you're not up to doing things ain't getting done. That's for sure. It's just like I learned a long time ago, I can't ask you to rush on anything. I've got to give you enough time to get ready in your time, because if I say, come on, we gotta go, you're not moving any faster.
No, I'm not.
Right. So it's got to be
Because I
Again.
have a routine, and if that routine is screwed up, it screws up my day.
Right.
Sometimes even more so than it is.
Right. So I learned that a long time ago. That which is hard for me because I used to always be late. So that was something that was difficult. It's like that dog that gets up and stretches.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you come on, let's go outside, go do your things because I gotta go.
Yeah,
I gotta leave. It's your shot. Go outside, do your thing because I gotta leave the house. We know they're gonna stretch.
yeah.
They have to stretch out. They have to stand up. They have to yawn. They stretch their back legs. There's
Front legs, then back legs.
Yeah, and there's no hurrying them whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So, not comparing you to a dog.
Sure you are. No.
It's both pretty cool, but you can't rush either one.
Yeah.
Either one. So when you have a day that you've accomplished something, or you've had a day that you haven't accomplished something, at the end of that day, does that feel any different to you?
Yeah.
Explain that.
I'm either in trouble or I'm not. No. No.
That is true sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really working on...
Making sure that I have things done every day.
Well, that's still the case. I think what Dad and I are working on is to not be invested emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So that in efforts to get you to where you can move out, that we take our emotions out of it, and this is just how it is.
Right.
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 But not, coming from us. How does that differ within yourself, whether you've had a productive day or a non-productive day?
Well, productive versus non-productive day. I would say that on a productive day, I just feel good and comfortable. Mm-hmm. On an unproductive day, it's more... I guess it's kind of... I don't know. Meh, I'll get stuff done later.
So it doesn't to
it's
you...
not... That's sometimes.
Okay.
Not all the time. Sometimes that's how I feel. Sometimes I'm just depressed about it. Sometimes...
That's what I guess that's what part of the question that I have is I'm wondering, since you don't hold on to an emotion that comes from other people, you're very, very good at letting that go. Regardless of what somebody is saying, it can be a negative or it can be a positive. When you leave that conversation, neither one of those, however that conversation just went, that does not influence how you carry on the rest of the day. It seems to me.
Sometimes it does, in the sense where if my sense of... my skewed sense of time is messed up, that can screw up the rest of the day. But it's not necessarily from an emotional standpoint. It's more from I had this set, and because this happened, now it's all skewed and offset.
So I'm not sure if I'm following this. If you have things on a list to do, are you saying if you didn't get those things on the list done, there's an emotion that you feel from that? Or
no. What I'm trying to say is that if, let's say I'm having a good day, and I miss an obvious thing that I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, let's say I was to do the dishes and I missed one of the pots because it was sitting on the oven,
mm-hmm.
on the oven top. And my eyes just go over it and completely miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brought to my attention, and then we have a big conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
That can do one of two things. Possibly three. It can... If you're in a good mood that day and that happens and you're still, it's like, it happens. Kind of the same thing happens to me. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I completely blew it. That's my bad. And I take care of it and it's done. If you're in a good mood and I'm not,
I don't. If that, in that scenario,
mm-hmm.
just that part, it doesn't even have to be about the dish that wasn't done.
Right.
With that scenario, I'm in a good mood, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
My interpretation of that is not a lot gets done.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I trudge through things.
Right.
Even if I don't really feel up to doing it.
Right.
But...
I would say, to me, it never appeared to me like, and there's probably just a difference. It's the same thing that we're talking about. I just use different verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't look at it as you're in a bad mood. I kind of view that as if you're available or not.
Okay, yeah. I can see that.
Because a bad mood, or maybe in a good mood or a bad mood, it could just be that simple. I'm in a good mood or a bad mood.
Right.
Whereas with you... what you're describing as a bad mood, I'm describing as unavailable, which means that there are times that no matter how I'm approaching you with an issue, whatever it is, it seems like it doesn't reach you.
Well, something that's occurred to me through our conversation today
mm-hmm.
was that maybe me not holding on to things is partially tied to my sense of time.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, right.
And that if that's the case, then... I don't know.
Yeah, this is like one of those things that I think that we're both talking about for the first time.
Yeah.
And I don't have any answers for this, and it might not be... I don't know if we're really expressing this, and it's it is a hard thing too, because it's not always the same.
Right.
So people that do not have autism, moods, that's part of life. Your moods fluctuate,
mm-hmm.
Depending on what's going on in life, and just in general.
In a roundabout way, that might be why you call them Joshisms and not autism.
because they fluctuate.
No, because I'm my own person,
right,
and I have my own experience of things, and I have my own background coming into situations,
mm-hmm.
and so it's personalized to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could be madisms for all I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for somebody else, and it would still fall under autism, but it just has those slight quirks
mm-hmm.
and personality traits that differentiate us.
Mm-hmm. Right. That could be.
So that one saying you said before, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
Correct. And I heard that the first time from our good friend, Dr. Ogilvy. Yeah. And she said she didn't come up with it, and I cannot remember who it is that said that. But I think that's so fitting. I think that's the case for every person that's ever been born every animal, everybody's their own being, their own spirit. So it's, I get it. And that's an aspect of autism that I think is important for people to understand, is that you can't put it in a category, everybody into one category. One time when we lived in Pennsylvania and you had wraparound services, so the county was looking at cutting the hours that therapeutic staff support person, how many hours they could be with you a day. And so she's the one that would meet you at school, stay with you until you got on the bus, and then in the moment she would prompt and redirect and help you to have in the moment lessons available. And
right, she wouldn't interfere with the lesson, but she like if it was an interaction where I was getting into trouble or something like that, she'd wait until the very end of it, and then she would point out what I did right, what I did wrong. And which is so much easier than whenever I had regular therapy sessions, because it would be right then. I'd be able to know everything that just happened rather than
right in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment. Sorry for getting you sidetracked.
That's okay. What was I talking about? What was I saying?
Bundling
Okay, I know what it was.
autism.
No, I know what it was. That so I had to go to a meeting one time. They were going to cut the hours of this person of the TSS that was meeting you at school. And I was blindsided by their approach to this, because they asked me, well, how many times a day does he shut down? How many times a day does he need a prompt? How many times a day does he need a redirect? How many times is there an outburst? Those are the kind of questions they ask me going into this, and I wasn't prepared for that, because I didn't know that they were looking at those kind of specifics. I just didn't know that kind of question was going to happen. And what I thought was that if they're using a criteria like that to determine whether or not you still needed this person, it would make sense if we had all of that information to show them at the same time. I felt like at the time they're not understanding that you are an individual, and you have days where you're on and you have days where you're off. So if their criteria is single focused, they're going to miss who you are as an individual and your needs and your abilities. They're not going to understand all of that.
And besides that, this is just a thought that just occurred to me because of what you were saying.
Okay.
But whenever I had wraparound services, I did so much better than I did before I had them.
Right.
And I can honestly say that without that help that I received, I wouldn't be as good at things as I am today.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Granted, I still have trouble with things, but
sometimes so does
everyone else.
Yeah. But yeah, I give that whole all the wraparound services. I just give them a great deal of credit. They helped all of us.
Yeah.
To help you to
do better and succeed.
Yeah, just have an understanding of who you are and what you're about. It was really cool. That was great for all of us. So one of the things that we talk about is how when we say it's a Joshism, when I go back to the idea of it taking so much effort sometimes on my part and your dad's part to get you to the next step, and then when you're there,
it's like I act like it was no big deal.
You do act like it was no big deal, and I do. that's frustrating sometimes to be right there with you, and it's like, yeah, no big deal. That's frustrating, and yet I don't know even what to really truly make of that. I mean, I can be frustrated. I can get upset that, what? Wait, why are you just doing this switch now? And
right.
You know, all this angst, and then, well, it's fine. I don't know what happens. I don't know, so I don't really know. I don't know how to elaborate on that. It's a definite Joshism.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what happens there. Something else that is a part of this. There are some pretty big things that are being offered to you right now. So you're you're in a position to have college paid for. And what I've noticed is that the only time we talk about you going to school, college or trade school of some sort, or getting some kind of training, the only time that we talk about that is if I bring it up.
Or Dad brings it up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you not ever think about it until we bring it up?
Not really, no. Like, I don't really think about it. I know it sounds bad, but it's not an immediate concern of mine. Even though it is taking place right now, it's not an immediate concern for some reason.
Do you have any idea why?
Several ideas, but I don't really know.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go to school?
Kinda.
So I don't know if it's being conveyed for people that are listening to this, but when I asked you about school, your whole body changed. Your energy changed. The volume of your voice changed. Everything.
I started slouching more.
Yes. Yes. So this clearly is something that bothers you.
Yeah.
And my guess is that I don't know, maybe we've put more pressure on this than is comfortable for you. Maybe we've stressed certain aspects of it about needing to do something for yourself in order to be okay once we're not here anymore.
Yeah.
But you don't ever think about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I'm avoiding it or not. Because I don't know if I'm avoiding it. But I just don't think about it.
Okay. All right. You see the value in it?
Mentally, yes, I do see the value of it. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I understand where people are coming from whenever they talk about it like that. Of what the value is of getting a school education. Sure. Like a post what's it called? Postgraduate or post...
Secondary?
Yeah, getting a secondary education.
So I don't think that that's a wrong statement. I know somebody that he dropped out when he was in 8th grade, and he has a very successful business right now. Very successful. So right now, you can go to a trade school. It's a shorter period of time, and right out of getting out of school, you can go right to work. Whereas sometimes with a degree, it takes a while right now to find a job.
Right.
So I'm not disagreeing with you. It's not the only answer. It's not the only way. And if it's not for you, then it's not. We need to have a conversation where you can really, hopefully, express to me what it is that you'd like to do. What is it you want to do other than nothing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Other than nothing. And so finding your interests, finding what it is that can, do you have something that you're really interested in, and then it can be combined with a career.
Right.
Just something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't mean to upset you by bringing that up.
It's okay.
All right. So, do you have anything else to say about this Joshism that we talk about?
Joshisms are a facet of autism.
Of your autism?
Yes and no. My quote-unquote Joshisms could be like, think about a gem that's already been cut.
Okay.
Has many different facets that shine and dull depending on the light.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say that gem as in its entirety is autism. Okay?
Okay.
One facet of that is how I perceive autism to be.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas another person has another view of it, and that's just another facet of it.
Right.
And when I say another person, I mean another person with autism.
Okay.
Not necessarily from outside of it, because that could be like the gold inlay of the ring around the stone or something.
Sure. Right. I got it.
You can't, because a gold can't compare what a gem is.
Right.
The same way as a gem can't say what gold feels like.
Mm-hmm. Right. I got it.
So.
I got it. Okay.
Joshisms in autism. Yeah. It's got a ring to it.
Okay. Okay, goofball. How about we we'll wrap it up. We say it's a done deal.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good evening.